Ladies and gentlemen, oh my god, oh my god! Okay, look, listen, look, check it out. Just calm down, everyone needs to relax. It is currently Monday, October 22nd, 2012. Oh my god. Do you know what that means? I think you know. I think you know what it means. Okay. Okay, look, listen, look, check it. This, right now, this very moment, is 3 years since I started the Day 9 Daily. Day 9 Daily number 1 happened on October 22nd, 2012, or 2009, and it is October 22nd, 2012. It has been 3 years. Uh, we've come a long way. Yes. Yes. My man friend and I. Hello, Manfred. I love my rabbit. First of all, we're beginning the show by letting you know that this is my show and I can do whatever I want. Let's establish that right away. For instance, if I want to bring my furry friend on, I can. Also, Manfred is a source of great inspiration and cuddling. Let's set him down. Second of all, it's kind of funny because there's a lot of other more notable dates for me to like keep track of in my head because there's a thing involved with it. Like, for instance, I'm casting at the upcoming MLG in Dallas, which I'm really excited about. You should totally come and hang out there. Doing a Lone Star Clash the following weekend, so I'm going like LA, Texas, LA, Texas. And in between there, I'm doing a little stop in Kansas City to just high-five my mother before I go back to LA. And those sorts of dates like stick out. And literally, like a few days ago, there was like the uh, uh, it's been 3 years. 3 years since the daily began. Because I'm very much so like the forward looker. I don't mean that philosophically. I mean like in terms of scheduling, right? I'm just like, all right, what do I need to do? Is the house on fire? I'll take care of that on Wednesday. Okay, let's see. And then on Thursday I need to pay rent for last month, right? I had this sort of this scaling schedule ahead of me that I just suddenly realized that there's this 3 year period behind me where things happened and reflection didn't actually occur. So let's see what happened in October 22nd, 2009. I was a second year graduate student in the University of Southern California's Interactive Media Division, the USC IMD. I was working on a game project with my friend and classmate Daniel Bonce, who now runs a game studio called Crater House, along with Bill Grainer and Sean Bouchard, who you may know from Metadating. my friend circle is 4. I was working for a game submission to the Independent Games Festival with Daniel, and then I, on impulse, decided I'd start the daily, because why not start the daily 5 days a week in the middle of grad school with a job that was 20 hours a week with classes and another game you're working on? Why not, right? Why the hell not? Why not? So I did that. It was really, really fun. And within a few months, the StarCraft 2 beta was announced. I did My Life of StarCraft, the Day 9 Daily number 100, and then began a summer of preparing for the launch party, because like an ambitious fool, I decided that I would do my first ever live event myself, yeah, for the release of StarCraft 2, which, like a miracle, should have burned to the ground, but didn't actually. Miraculously came together and was a lot of fun. And then I did a bunch of MLGs, ESLs, Fragster show matches. Fragster.de did the Team Liquid Star League a bunch of years in a row, including last several. 2011 was crazy. When did I finish? No, 2010. Wow, yeah, I skipped over a full year. 2010 was... Oh, yeah, no, I wasn't 2010. 2011. God, it's all get scrambled together. It's nuts. In the last 3 years, I got a degree from grad school. I've done somewhere between 50 and 100 live events. I'm generally out of town 20 or 30 weekends a year at least. Do the daily. This is the 518th Day 9 daily, and it's been 3 years, so that's about 173 a year, which is about the number of days in an average American high school year. The number of days at school is in session, on average, is 180 days a year. And that's also not including anything else I stream. That's just the daily. I have the After Hours Gaming League, a for-fun league about battling in corporate culture. I have a website. Yeah. A lot of other stuff has happened. I don't know. I have a shirt. Yeah, I have a greatest ally. Shake your head, Manfred. And I want to let you know that I'm very excited. I'm very pumped. Very pumped about this because it's time for me to reveal my greatest secret. And I've said my greatest secret before, but I will say it again. All the dailies and all the flying to tournaments and all the consulting work and all the after-hours gaming leagues and all the stuff that has gone on, I've been able to do because of one simple reason. I just showed up. That's all I did. That's all I do. I just show up. Just keep arriving day after day after day. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you just show up. All you do is show up. Because let's be honest, I do a lot of things that can be described only as fucking stupid. Right? Yeah! Yeah! Do whatever the hell you want. Just pick a thing and do it. All you have to do is show up and attend it. Yes. Wow. And of course, biggest thanks of all to the makers of my favorite game franchise in the world, Blizzard, for keeping me perky every time I show up to the daily, and I'm just like, oh, look at all the things, explosions and micro and cool strategies and innovation and etc. Yeah. Yeah. Cool stuff. Yes. So let's go ahead and talk about all the cool, wild, webulous things that are going to go on, and I figure rather than do anything explosion-worthy, rather than shock you with a mind-blowing thing, why not just do a regular old daily? In today's daily, we're going to be doing some Heart of the Swarm games from none other than White Ra, one of my favorite players ever. We have 2 games that we could potentially examine, and I leave the choice to you, beautiful, wonderful, sexy, loyal viewers, because very honestly, none of this would ever be a thing were it not for you and all your niceness and your support. I actually wonder that sometimes, like how other people get anything done, because like everyone that I've interacted with in the StarCraft community, all my feedback, email, is pretty positive. It's pretty much just nice people being like, hey, I really like it. Oh, I was watching breakfast and you said this joke and I spat my eggs out and I've never done that. Ha ha ha. And I'm like, really? Oh, that's so nice. Oh. Oh. I guess I do that. Yeah, like, you're so sweet. Thank you. You're so generous. You're great. Ooh, look at you. You're great. Aren't they great, Manfred? He thinks you're great. I want to do also just jump right in and notice that I have forums. Bam! That's right. Welcome to Day9.tv where there's a forum. Oh, yes. Look at the forum. This is in response to many of you saying, Day9, I would like a forum. There's been the Day9 subreddit, there's been the chat attached to Twitch TV, but the forum's just a nice way to just interact based upon whatever you want. It's a forum. You know how forums work. I don't need to explain it to you. I should also note that there is the Fright Week, where on Wednesday this week I'm going to be playing Slender, and then on October 29th and 31st, as you see here right there, I'm going to be doing Amnesia, the expansion Justine, and of course Wednesday is the Firefall Fest. There will be a daily tomorrow on Wednesday and Thursday, per usual. I just suck and haven't put them on the calendar. So if you'd like to go chat on the forum, go chat on the forum. Ooh. That's right. Enjoy me screaming and shrieking and being upset at the top of my lungs. Are you in the mood for more man mode? Well, don't worry. It'll happen on Wednesday. Let me just say, it's time to do some choosing. It's time to choose your own adventure. We're going to be stepping into that there daily now. It is Heart of the Swarm. One of the biggest things that I guess I see happen in many of the games of the past frequently, and less so in StarCraft 2, is the notion of back and forthedness and comebacks. That's partly because StarCraft 2 is quite young, so people can just figure out a good build and attack with it, and there you go. Games like Brood War, like, 4, 5, 6 years after the release, people were really trying to cut a hell of a lot of corners to have incredible mid and late games. So a lot of the cool early attacks and fragility and the momentum of players who'd get beaten down and beaten down and beaten down and would swing up. We don't quite see that yet because people are still kind of sticking to lower base counts and that sort of thing. But we have 2 games that will very much so have that. It is a Protoss vs. Terran that I think is an interesting demonstration of strategy between Whiterot and Morrow. And then we kind of have an interesting back and forth Protoss vs. Zerg between Whiterot and a Zerg HOTS player. And I would like to know which one you want. If you would like the versus Zerg game, type Zerg. If you would like the versus Terran game, type Terran. And while you're doing that, I'll also note that around 8 this morning I woke up and was just like, you know what? I want to go run. I'm going to do that there running. And I ran for even longer than I normally do. And I couldn't stay awake. At 5:30, I was like, I'm going to sleep for 20 minutes. And I woke up at 6:45. My daily goes live at 6:50. And I was like, ah, ah. Oh my god, the split between Zerg and Terran voting in the chat is very even. This is going to be hard. Let's do the versus. Oh god, I'm actually really torn. It's literally about half and half. It's looking more towards the Zerg side. The Terran players are screaming the Terran in all caps, but let's go ahead and do the Zerg one. Extra special TYVM to the kind fellow that is Whiterot for providing me with these replays. I loaded up the wrong one. Let's go ahead and bring that up. Here we go. If there's time, we'll go ahead and hop into the other one, because why not? So, in the bottom right corner is Whiterot, the Protoss player from the Ukraine. In the top left is Zerg player by the name of Green Machine. And suddenly, now that I've said this name out loud, is this the guy I played yesterday on stream? I want to say, I think so. He went mass Zergling against me and just overwhelmed my Zealots at the start without much of a problemo. I want to say so. Pretty sure that's the same guy. I feel like it had Ghost in it. Maybe I'm going crazy. So we're going to see Whiterot do the expanding. And I'm kind of happy to see this. Because, let's be honest, if you've watched me play, I'm just not doing Forge First early expands in Heart of the Swarm. I've done plenty of that in Wings of Liberty, and damn it, I want to do something new. And also, it's kind of making me be like, maybe I should just go do the non-Forge opening in Wings of Liberty. Maybe it'll be terrible. Whatever, ever. Whiterot going to be doing the expanding. And in this particular game, we'll be doing a lot of just the standardo analysis. And this game is a little shorter than your average game, so we might very well get the opportunity to check out the other game. And if that's the case, no big deal. We'll do another game. And also I'll go get sushi after this. I've been thinking about sushi all day, and I'm going to get it. Things begin in a very per expectation fashion. There we go. We do see the Green Machine fellow getting himself up a spawning pool with no gas geysers to take himself and expand. This is, of course, encouraging Protoss players to never build their Forge first ever, no matter what. Under any circumstance, they'll all just go for the Nexus and then Forge. Because the logic is only against a 6 pool am I really super screwed. So, a little bit of the meta game consideration there. Kind of interesting, a delayed queen. Ain't no thang. If you delay your queen just a smidge, you can build this at 345. If you are managing that money correctly. I.e. not building the second queen. See? Oh, starting to get a lot of money, and then right about now. See how it says 210? Some players have just managed to optimize the economy a touch of a bit more. To be able to get the 310. There's a really cute concept, which is stockpiling larvae, which is that you say something like, okay, if I have, I'm just going to make up numbers. Let's say every 10 seconds a larva pops up. So you say something like, okay, at 3:30, I have one larva pop up. And at 3:40, I'll have my next larva pop up. And then at 3:50, I'll have my third larva pop up. Again, we're just doing basic math here. What a lot of players will do is they'll just build one of those larvae and stay at 2. And whenever they go up to 3, they'll just build one drone and go back to 2. And this allows them to float a little bit of money to build that hatch a touch earlier. And then they'll build the next drone when they can and the next drone when they can. So it's a nice way to do really, 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 really high-level optimization to get things an extra 15 seconds earlier here and there. But for all intents and purposes, it doesn't frickin' matter. I just thought that was cool. So White Ra does your little standard re-wall off thing, which flubbers and flounders and does all thing negative. But no big deal. It's not like anything has been too thrown off the bat. In terms of timings, this is not. It's a little bit of a late cybernetics core. A gateway at 3:30, followed by a cybernetics core at 4:30-ish. Is the big money, big booty, big booty. So he's a smidge late. So this is where things are still very Wings of Liberty-esque. And I think I've said this before, that there's often this pain that I get in my heart when trying to do casting for PvZ again and again and again and again, when players are literally doing identical things! Ah! But not anymore. I'll still note what interesting things are going on in the heads of the players. This shouldn't really be here. White Ra is also building himself a mothership core. One of the best locations for a mothership core is right here, because you can pick off banelings as they come in. It's also an extremely expensive thing to get at a really critical time. I actually have not talked about the mothership core's influence on an early expand setup, and I want to come back to around 5:30 when the gateway, or when the cybernetics core is finishing up. Yeah, here it is. Joink. Ink. Right around now, there's a number of common openings. One is to build the Stargate. If you build this cybernetics core early enough, then you'll have exactly 150, and you can just build the Stargate right at 5:30, or 6 minutes, or that sort of thing. What's very common nowadays is to go Sentry for 100, Warp Gate for 50, +1 for 100. This is the most common play that we see if the cybernetics core is delayed, because you get the upgrade, you get the Sentry for defense, you get the Warp Gate for whatever, and then a little bit later you build a Robo, or a Twilight, or 3 more gates and then a Twilight. Those are the really common ones, but going for the mothership core interrupts a lot of stuff, so there has to be some strong justification for researching it. And, quite honestly, you don't have Energize anymore, so the mothership core is a lot weaker of an option. It's something that you only really want to do if you're being aggressive. But of course, White Ra, like a boss, he's moving out! Do it, White Ra. Get him, get him, get him, get him, get him. And this is also quite common when going for the Stargate to get the 4 gas geysers down quite quickly. As we examine our Zergy buddy's base, he's done the usual double geyser at 6 minutes. There's really nothing special going on here. If he identifies that his opponent is, in fact, not going to be aggressive, we'll see a layer right away. This doesn't count so much. But I do think White Raw's kind of anticipating a certain amount of delay. He saw when the gas geysers were. He knows there's not really going to be an attack. He might want to invest in a Zealot, or at the very least keep a probe here. White Raw tends to be a little light on the defense, but look at this. An Oracle! Oh! And one of the funniest things ever will happen. Queen versus Mothership Core. Who wins? Right? Right? Isn't that interesting? Isn't that a fascinating facet of Heart of the Swarm that so many people just didn't know until now? A queen beats a Mothership Core one-on-one. A useful fact to consider. An important, critical message that should be bored deep into your frickin' head, face, wherever you do boring. That's where it should be. That is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. Literally, White Raw built a Mothership Core that is no more. But is opening up with this Oracle. Oh, man. Oh, that's too funny. You know, we are at 8 minutes. It's not a particularly noteworthy point to stop, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave a teaser and I'm going to step away to part 2 so I can get water, because I realize now that my cup's kind of empty. What we've seen thus far in part 1 is just a little brief celebration of doing the daily for 3 years. Talked a little bit about some of the events coming up, and of course the new forums that are on the day9.tv website. We also looked at this game where we have been noting some of the early interesting stuff that can go on. Nothing too mind-blowing can go on super early, just due to the fact that all the Zerg Heart of the Swarm stuff is late layer tech or up to Hive, and all the stuff that requires, all the Heart of the Swarm stuff for Protoss requires Cybernetics core tech. So we just got a Mothership Core and it died. But what we're going to see in part number 2 is an incredibly sweet use of the Oracle to entomb everything to such an extreme degree that you will be like, imbalanced or pro. Find out in part 2. See you in a bit. See you in a bit.